Have you ever driven over a highway bridge and couldn't help but look below? Or stood on a shoreline's rocky ridge just to watch the water flow? And count yourself as one of the few with a different set of dreams, the kind that keeps you up at night, 'cause you can't wait to get to that stream. It's more than a river. It's more than the water flowing or where it's going. It's the grip on the paddle and the shit in the saddle, the V in the boulders and the lean in the shoulders. When you reach for the eddy, it doesn't get better than this. Yes, it's more. So much more than a river.
Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad to have you here. Thank you for joining Cross Currents Leadership Live on Facebook, Substack, and YouTube as we talk to experts across paddle sports and outdoor recreation for just 15 minutes every Sunday and Wednesday night in January and February. We are working diligently to bring you the key informational nuggets that will help you level up your offerings in 2026 and be more impactful in everything you're trying to do in paddle sports. I want to take just a second to give a shout out and thank everybody who's following Cross Currents Leadership on any of our channels. But in particular, thank you if you've signed up on Substack to get the email updates, and a special moment of gratitude for the folks who signed up on Substack to support our work so that we can continue doing things like these live streams and the kind of work that we're going to do in the community this summer. It really is invaluable, and we appreciate your support. Tonight, we have a very special guest because, after all, you can't do paddle sports without paddles. So Jason Eccles, he is the president of Aqua Bound and Bending Branches, but he is also a founding board member of the Paddlesports Trade Coalition. And we serve together on the PTC's Best Practices Committee. Jason, I cannot tell you how honored I am. Thank you for joining us tonight. I think with the stuff you're working on is really important. I can't wait to tell everybody all about it.
Andrea, it's truly a pleasure, and I'm honored that you invited me on to your podcast this evening. I'm excited to share some of the work that we've been doing within the paddle sports industry over the last 2.5 years, and we'll see what I can do in the next 10 minutes to bring that all together for everybody.
Absolutely. Well, let's get started. Tell us a little bit about the Paddlesports Trade Coalition and what is it trying to accomplish?
All right, so the Paddlesports Trade Coalition came together about 2.5 years ago, just under 3 years ago. And our focus is to promote the development of all paddle sports categories among paddling participants within the United States and Canada. And really what we're trying to do is bring together all of the key stakeholders within our industry. And as we define key stakeholders, it's our independent retailers and outfitters, it's our independent reps and our representative groups. It's our community organizations, and it's also the brands and manufacturers that support our industry. So the idea that we had is to bring those key stakeholders together and work in a collaborative way to figure out how to navigate life within our industry in this post-COVID era. You know, things are tough, things are challenging. We all have challenges that we need to deal with. And the point of the Paddlesports Trade Coalition is to kind of be a single voice for the industry and to bring our stakeholders together to work collaboratively to solve the issues that we're facing.
Well, I got to tell you, over time, I've worked with a lot of different trade associations, and I got to say, PTC has really codified an approach to best practices to underscore the fact that we are all in this together. Can you walk us through a little bit about the PTC Paddlesports Industry Ecosystem as they've defined it?
Yeah, so we're looking at this in kind of two segments or two buckets. So we're looking at it from an ecosystem framework, and what that's doing is it's identifying roles and responsibilities for our key stakeholders, that being retailers, reps, community organizations, and brands. And then we're putting together value propositions and aligning those key stakeholders to foster an environment of collaboration. And ultimately, right now, what we're working on is a set of gold standards and best practices, meaning how do we come together to accomplish three main goals, that being increased participation and retention within paddle sports, improve profitability for those key stakeholders, and ultimately strengthen the paddle sports ecosystem. And the gold standards that we're working together to both create and implement through the Best Practices Committee, which is part of the Paddlesports Trade Coalition, is we're focusing on transparency, collaboration, and accomplishing these items that we're focusing on through integrity.
Well, I love it. I know you gave me a visual. You want me to pull that up and we can kind of talk through how this plays out for some of the different sectors?
Right. So this just kind of explains maybe visually what I just spoke about. We're looking at shared industry outcomes, that being participation, profitability, and the resilience of our ecosystem, the paddle sports ecosystem, identifying the roles and responsibilities of our key stakeholders, creating that value proposition and alignment, and ultimately creating this set of gold standards and a code of ethics from which we live by, implementing those gold standards and the best practices tied to them, and then repeating the cycle.
Absolutely. And I know that, I mean, I see Jen Nolan's here from Viking Kayaks in Texas. I know that I spoke with a lot of folks today from other states that are outfitters, that are retailers, that in that really frontline role with our paddle sports consumers. They're dealing with they have to work with brands and manufacturers. They deal with the craziness of customers. They're dealing with tariffs. They're dealing with all kinds of challenges. How do we incorporate them in the work that PTC is doing so that they can be part of the solution?
Right. So we have in those four key stakeholder segments, what we're doing is we're working on a set of best practices, a set of gold standards for each of those key stakeholders. And the intent behind those gold standards is really it's a set of standards for us to play nicely together in the sandbox. And it's not competition between brands. It's not necessarily the competition between retailers or reps or community organizations that we're focusing on. It's what value can we bring to those key stakeholders to grow their business. And what we're talking about is growing participation in paddle sports being one of our key objectives. And when we're successful with that objective, rising water in the harbor raises all boats, right? And so in thinking about solving the issues that our industry is facing right now, but doing so in a collective, collaborative manner, it just makes for a healthier ecosystem. A healthier ecosystem makes for a better environment for retailers. It makes for a better environment for independent reps. It allows community organizations to outreach and bring more people into paddle sports. And ultimately, as a brand, a representative of a brand, Aqua Bound and Bending Branches, we want to get as many people out into the outdoors and on the water as possible. And our way to do that is through the use of our product, but also supporting the entities, the community organizations, the retailers, the outfitters, the independent reps, so that they can do their job to help us be successful in growing and making and creating a healthy paddle sports industry ecosystem. So it's kind of like why would you want to get involved? It's for those reasons. If we're successful, when we're successful with these initiatives, we're all achieving in some way, shape, or form what we're setting out to achieve.
Well, in paddle sports, we talk a lot about building community and about building your crew, and that we all have to work together. We don't leave anybody out there to fend for themselves, to hike out alone, as it were. And I really feel like this is the business angle on that. This is us all addressing the strategic challenges together. I certainly know, I was talking to Pat Quinney at Level 6 earlier today, and I know you were in some of the same conversations I was, where, I've attended both PTC collabs. We've had a lot of these best practices committee meetings. And as we hear the first person perspective from the different players with the different roles in our industry, it has reframed. Pat said it's done the same thing for him, that it's reframed the way that he addresses some of the challenges as a manufacturer. I feel like there's just no way we can solve some of these problems if we're not in the same room working on it together.
That is absolutely right. It's kind of like being on an island, or if you're trying to solve an issue all on your own, it's going to be a challenge. You know, 2 brains are better than 1, 4 brains are better than 2. You know, it's that mindset where the greater that we can grow the conversation, or the more people we can have involved with the conversation, the better chance we have at resolving and solving some of the issues that are facing our industry. And, you know, to be honest, I think what we're creating here in the paddle sports community, I think we're creating a framework that can be applied to other outdoor industries that operate in a similar manner to what we do. You know, I'm not sure if there's many, if any, other industries trying to accomplish what we're attempting in such a large, all-encompassing umbrella, including all of the stakeholders, and bringing them around the table to be part of the conversation, or at least have the opportunity to be part of the conversation. So we really implore those of you that are out there to become part of our community, become part of the Paddlesports Trade Coalition, be part of the system and the process that we're creating to solve the issues and to increase participation in paddle sports, improve the profitability standpoint of our businesses, and ultimately strengthen the paddle sports ecosystem.
I love it. I love it. So, well, today, I mean, we launched earlier today a webinar series that PTC is hosting that is going to really do the deep dive on each of these sectors. I know that today's webinar probably won't be posted for a day or two. It's coming soon in terms of the recording. But can you tell folks sort of what's coming soon so they can plan ahead?
Yeah, right. So today, if you go to paddlesportstradecoalition.org, you'll find information there in regards to what we discussed today. So our webinar today was on the subject of brands and manufacturers gold standards, and a tool that we developed, which is a self-assessment tool, which allows our key stakeholders to really look introspectively and think about how they are acting or behaving, or best practices that they're putting into play in regards to how does that meet up with the code of ethics and the gold standards that the PTC is working to put together. So that was today. 1 month from now, we're going to be covering retailers and outfitters, the gold standard and practices for that group, and a self-assessment tool. Following that is for our sales representatives in March. And then in April, another webinar that will be covering community organizations. So brands, retailers, outfitters, sales representatives, and community organizations. We're putting something together for each of those stakeholders, and really hope that value is found in what we're putting together in regards to the mission that we're trying to accomplish.
Well, and you guys, anybody who's followed me for even a moment knows I'm plugged in with the community-based trainers, the community organizations, advocacy groups, and you know, the grassroots. I'm tied in with paddle sports grassroots. So let me assure you, I'm doing my part to help bring that point of view. And I need some help. If you guys want to come help me, come join, come be part of this.
Right. And maybe as a recruiting effort here, Andrea, for people to think about reasons to get involved, it's not just solving the issues within our industry, but it's the connections that you're making along the way. There, since I've been part of the Paddlesports Trade Coalition, I have learned so much in regards to not just our industry, but what's working for other businesses and what's not working for other businesses that I can bring back to our business. And so same for community organizations. What might somebody be doing in Kansas City that you're not doing in Georgia, or vice versa? We're sharing these best practices, not to be less or more competitive, but to help out our industry partners get better at what they're doing. Retailers and outfitters, I believe, are also seeing that same thing where they're sharing some things that are working. And it's just a community that's really coming together to raise the water and improve the performance and the output and the outcome for all of our participants.
Absolutely. Well, I love it. I love it so much. So guys, we've got links in the show notes that will tell you about these webinars and how to get a hold of all of that. Some other resources linked in the show notes. There's a link so you can sign up if you want to get PTC email updates. Obviously, Jason wants you, and I want you to follow PTC on Facebook and LinkedIn so you can get all the updates as new news is announced. And right here as a visual on the slide, write it down off the screen. Email Jason directly at ecclesj@bendingbranches.com if you'd like to get involved with some of the work we're doing with the Best Practices Committee. We need the help. We need more brains, more better.
Yeah, we'd love to have more people involved. Absolutely. All are welcome.
So guys, thank you so much, Jason, for joining us. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Our next live conversation will be Sunday night. It's January 18th at 7 p.m. Eastern. It'll be for just 15 minutes, and we're going to have Susan Stalker from Iowa. She is the voting law administrator and the education coordinator for the state of Iowa, for Iowa DNR. And she's going to talk to me about ways that all of us can be partnering with our state agencies to do paddle sports outreach and education. The state agencies really are in a lot of ways on the front lines, and yet they seem to be in a little bit of a silo. So how can we bring them into the party? How can we all work on this together? As always, I want to thank all of you guys for joining, but also I want to thank my friend Jerry Vandiver for allowing us to use More Than a River on our countdown video. There's also links in the show notes so you can check out more of his paddle songs. He's got 4 CDs of paddle songs, guys. So in any case, thanks everybody. Thank you for joining, and we will see you on Sunday. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Andrea. My pleasure.